marriage is a humiliation ritual. And I think many weddings today are just forms of extreme narcissism being socially accepted, especially on social media. And in this situation today, I'm completely blaming the women for this issue. I think there may be a slight blame on the men for allowing this to happen, but I'm not going to talk too much on that today because my goal on this channel is to reach a woman out there, even just one, and possibly get through her mind to get her thinking about some things in a different way. Because there's not enough women talking about these things, and I just feel as if that's what I'm called to be doing here. So, what am I talking about exactly? I'm talking about these extravagant weddings you see online, these theatrics performed by women all over the world, destination weddings, humiliation rituals through proposals and expectations of your man to basically beg for your hand in marriage, when most of the time there's not even a reason to beg you. You're actually just a passed around woman who has finally found a simp big enough to consider taking you on for the rest of his life. But anyways, I don't mean to sound harsh, but most of the women that are brainwashed into wanting a huge theatrical proposal or wedding aren't really women that deserve that. Because the women that deserve that don't really want that anyway. Because they understand that marriage is not meant to be a public display of gestures, but instead marriage is meant to be a spiritual union and a public acknowledgement of the commitment you made to one another, okay? That is the real meaning for marriage. God meant for one man to have one woman and one woman to have one man, and for those two individuals to be bound together as one for the rest of their lives, to not only serve him, but to also have a household and serve their children through instilling morals into them and raising them up in the world. Now, what's going on now? From the very get-go, women are expecting a man to basically get on his knees and beg for her hand in marriage. And if it's not good enough, I've seen videos of women saying no and demanding that their man do something better for them and more extravagant, and they might say yes. This is insane to me. And I use the word insane a lot because it really conveys my feeling on the matter. You know, this is crazy. When you really sit down and think about what's going on, it's just crazy. There's no other word to really sum it up in a simple meaning. A modern day woman expects a man to not only propose to her by getting on his knees and basically begging for her hand in marriage, basically begging her to be with him for the rest of their life, which you should not have to even beg a human being that loves you to do that, first of all. But anyways, she will expect him to get on his knees and beg for her hand in marriage by asking her. She will expect him to have orchestrated this perfect situation and event for the public eye to see when he proposes to her. And if it doesn't meet her expectations, she may say no. I've seen it time and time again on social media, the woman saying no, and quite honestly seeming to be ashamed of her husband, sorry, not her husband, her partner, her man, for not living up to her expectations that she made in her head. Now, most of the time, the women that even have these expectations don't deserve it. They don't even deserve to be in a relationship, first of all, because most of the women with this mindset are selfish, demanding, never understood the word sacrifice. They're not ready to be committed and submit to a man, because that is ultimately what you need to do as a wife. When you are a wife, you need to submit to your husband. He is the leader, you are not. These women are not in the correct mindset to even be considering marriage most of the time, okay? Well, let's just say the proposal goes the way that she wants, because it's all about her and nothing about him ever, and they progress onto their wedding. Well, what does the woman expect for that typically? The woman expects that man to basically drain his life savings on an event that she wants to host for her friends. Mostly it's always for the friends. Never even cares about the family most of the time. It's mostly about how much can I drain out of my man to put into this wedding so that I can have a perfect Instagram picture, video. I want drone shots of the aerial view. I want a whole production, a whole party for these people. I'm not against traditional weddings where it's people that you actually care about, your family, and it's a public act of devotion to your partner, to your spouse, in front of those people, so that, in my opinion, those people can be there as a witness to hold you accountable in the future. If it's your family and things like that, the same as baptism. You do this as a public act of showing the decision that you've made to follow through long term for the rest of your life. That is what weddings should be for. You don't need 2 years to plan a wedding, okay? I was just talking to my mom about this the other day. My sister is in college, and she has friends that are, getting engaged, and they are planning their future, and I think that it's kind of ridiculous when you're in college and you get engaged and you want to wait 2 years to get married. You don't need 2 years to plan a wedding, okay? That's actually crap. That's actually just insane. You don't need 2 years to plan a wedding. You don't need 1 year to plan a wedding. 6 months is all you need. 6 months is all it takes. When me and my husband first discussed the idea of marriage, there was no, let's wait, let's plan, let's save up. No, I want to be married to you because I already know the decision that I've made in my head, in my heart. I want to be committed to you. I want to serve you unapologetically. I want to live with you, and I want to raise our family all together and under the same morals. I want to start this already. There's no waiting. I was eager to be committed to my husband. I was eager to be bound to my husband by the law. I was eager to submit to my husband. I was eager to let go of this independence and to finally submit to the leader that my husband is. I was eager to support him in all his endeavors. There's no reality where I would even consider waiting to have a huge event to publicly announce my commitment to my husband. That's insane. That's insane ideology to have. This is such a psyop. This is such a construed image of performance. It doesn't seem that hard to understand to me from my point of view. If anything, I would say the goal should be to get married and save your money to go on an extravagant honeymoon, which will be a collection of experience shared with you and your spouse, memories and stories to tell your children in the future. Why is all this focus being on a wedding? There's no other reason than you want to show how much of a cuckold you have your husband in for social media, to show your girlfriends how much you've got out of him, how much can you drain out of him more than them. That's all it is. And I can make a whole separate video on the competition between women because there's so much subconscious competition between women. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Weddings have simply become female status competition. Who has the bigger ring? Who has the better cake? Who has the better DJ? Who has the better venue? How much money have you gotten out of your husband? This girl had this at her wedding. I want this. There's no even consideration for the husband's wantings in the situation. It's all about, give me your wallet. I want you to pay for this. We're doing this. We're doing that. I like this dress. Why is it no longer about pleasing your husband? It should be about that. If you're in a relationship or marriage and you don't care about pleasing your husband, you've got an issue. You've got to self-analyze. You've got to fix it. You shouldn't care about anybody else's opinion other than your husband's. Not your mom, not your dad, not your friends, not your aunts, not your uncles, your husband, the man you are committing to. I'll say it right now. Many women are more attached to the fantasy than the man himself. Think about when your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, has a birthday. Many women treat that like just any other day. But when it's the woman's birthday, what do they expect? They expect so many gestures, so many things. But when it's Father's Day, what does the father get? Barely anything. No one even remembers him. I'm not saying this to cater to the male audience, as many of you suggest in my previous videos. I am saying this hoping that this is getting through to any woman out there listening. We are intrinsically selfish. I am naturally more selfish than I am sacrificing. It is a constant battle of my mind to put myself on the bottom of the list of priorities when it comes to my family, in the construct, in the level, in the order of service that I need to serve my family. First I serve God, then I serve my husband, then I serve my children. There is no other order. Stop trying to rearrange the levels. Women, you are not on the top just because you are a woman. I've seen many feminists on social media talking about how marriage is not beneficial for the woman, and how it is just this thing to bind us legally into service. And it's just so wild how women have been convinced that marriage is some sort of oppression. I have never been more grateful to be married. I am grateful to know that I have a husband to support, that I have a husband to feed and to nourish and to serve and to submit to. This is amazing to me. This is nothing short of just the best gift that I've been given as a woman, to have this man to cherish and to love and to take care of. I think a strong indicator that women are the issue, in fact, when it comes to marriage and the whole way they view it from the very beginning, is to look up the statistic on divorce rates and who initiates them. Women initiate 65 to 70% of divorce in the modern world. Why is this even a thing? Why is this even a thing? Well, it's because I've talked about before, women are emotional, and instead of being able to step back and rationally look at their emotions, they just simply impulsively act on those feelings that they have temporarily. And they also, like I mentioned before in this video, are extremely selfish. So as soon as one thing is not going their way, they want to just leave and go to the next thing. The strongest indicator that your wife will do this should be her expectations in the beginning when you wanted to propose or when you wanted to plan the wedding. How did she view those things? Did she view those things as events, or did she view those things as a sacred story between you two? The spectacle is not a collection of images, but a social relation amongst people mediated by images. This is a quote by Guy Debord, and this cannot construe a more perfect idea behind the modern day world. Everything is just for images. Entertainment has overruled real relationships, and quite frankly, I think that's very sad. And I think that the solution to this is just being more mindful of the relationships that you do have. Do the work to become a better person for the people around you. Stop being selfish and start thinking about how you can serve the people that you love.